Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this wonderful planet. We're down under, Sally and I, and I'm the learning difficulty expert from Canberra, and Sally is...
Hi, I'm Sally. I'm based in Melbourne and I'm the Holistically Fit Specialist. So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us.
So today is pretty historic. This is the last day when Sal's going to be a blonde. She's going to change her hair colour next time. I'm not. I'm going to be the same, but there you go.
Only because,
Today
Harry,
we're going to...
you get sick of hanging out with the same old chick.
That's right. I need a brunette. That's what I'm after.
All right, watch this space.
So today we're going to be very courageous, more courageous. I'm having to be courageous and vulnerable. We're going to talk about the scripts and the roadblocks that we play that undermine what we can be doing, that undermine our mission and our beauty. And so one of the things that I've been doing this week is I've been preparing for my first workshop, and last weekend I was in total overwhelm. I can't do this. I'm never going to finish it. I'm not good enough.
Harry, all your limiting beliefs, self-sabotage.
All my limiting beliefs. Then my daughter came and rescued me. But the reason it all happened was because I'd procrastinated, because I'd put it off. Why do I procrastinate? Probably because I had to do some stuff in my life, earlier in my life, that was painful and I didn't want to do it. So I got stuck in that pattern of procrastinating, which isn't good. It never works for me. And I haven't learned that yet. I'm still procrastinating. So we've all got lots of stuff like this. And you've got some stuff too, Sally.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I was reading just the other day, procrastination is usually because there's a bit of fear, and it's a fear of failure. And also there's a fear of success. What if I'm really good? What if I'm accepted and it goes really well, your workshop, for example? So procrastination isn't just a failure, it's also possibly of success, of like, how can I handle it? That's going to take me out of my comfort zone. I'm not expecting it. So procrastination gets all of us in a big way. And we often talk about that, about taking that first step and getting there. But also what you were talking about was you're sabotaging yourself with your limiting beliefs. You know, I can't do this, it's all too hard. And that's all part of the procrastination as well, getting out of that spot. So, yeah, sorry, what were we going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, I wrote down all my other things. So, what are the other things? Yeah, fear of change, fear of failure. I see fear of failure in my clients every day. I don't deserve it is another one.
Oh, yeah.
It's not possible. And a lot of the stuff, you know, this inner critic is, I mean, I was brought up, I think, and I got a lot of why it couldn't be, why it wasn't going to work. And I've been working on that a lot in the last 10 years. And got rid of most of that now. So mostly I look at half glass full now, not half glass empty.
Yeah.
And I've really been working on that. But I assessed one of our therapists in here last afternoon, and one of her strategies is to forget.
Forget.
Just forget. And that's a defensive pattern for the child.
Yeah, well, that's shutting it out, isn't it? I mean, when we look at our beliefs of ourselves and things in general, most of them come from our childhood, and then we absorb them as children and just carry them on throughout our adult life without even questioning a lot of them. So I think it's really important, and it's something that I've had to do and was very confronting, is to go through, write down the beliefs that I had. I think I wrote down 30 to 50, because the more you put down, the further down you drill down into the underlying meaning behind them all. But when I started reviewing the beliefs that I just took for normal, and then I started to question them, I realized that a lot of them weren't valid in my everyday life anymore. Like, they were ones that I was brought up with as a kid, and, you know, my parents' values or their opinions at the time is what I took on. And until I've actually had to start questioning some of them, I've just gone along thinking that's just how you thought. And I was writing down some of the stories that I've been telling myself over the years. And growing up, you know, in my household, it was, you know, the men always worked and the women stayed at home. And if the women did work, they only had part-time work that just brought in a little bit of cash, and it wasn't a career type of job that they had, because it was just a supportive role, because their main role was to look after the kids. And that was back in the 60s or 70s. And it was probably much the same for you. Did your mum work when you were a little, Harry?
No, she only worked when we'd all left uni.
Yeah. And so my mum...
And she worked part-time when I was young, but when the rest of the kids came along, she stopped.
Yeah, and also I found that, you know, the women were never seen, well, the beliefs I had, women weren't the main breadwinner. If they worked, it was just sort of to get them a bit out of the house and just to do a little bit of supportive, but really their main role was to look after kids. Now, when I look at that today and review those beliefs, that's blown out of the water. I know plenty of, you know, full-time house husbands and all that sort of stuff, and it's just... But I always just had that in me, and until I had to stop and review it and realise, oh, that's just a limiting belief that I've got. That's crazy. And then there was another one about relationships. Relationships are a biggie beliefs that terrible. And I mean, out of my own personal situation, I was in a situation with quite a controlling partner. And, you know, I always had the belief that I could never be smart enough. I could never get a good enough job or be as successful. And, you know, just limiting beliefs. And that's taken me a very long time to go, hang on a minute, fuck's sake, that's just wrong. You know, I don't know. Have you...
Not smart enough, not pretty enough.
Yeah.
I get that a lot with girls.
Yeah, you don't cut the mustard. You're just never going to make it, you know. It's just... And I carried that well into my 40s. I mean, goodness me, it's just, whew. And I've turned that around, and nobody's fault, but it's just the beliefs that I was carrying in my head, and just had that reinforced, rather than saying, hang on a minute, let's review these. And when I reviewed it, I actually sort of almost had a vomit moment going, oh my God, that's just limiting. We can actually, there's no such word as can't. You can do anything you actually want to do. And I think once we understand that anything is achievable, the only limiting beliefs we're putting on ourselves. You know, once you disregard what others say and connect back in with yourself and have that true belief in yourself, then you can do it. And that led me into my third sort of discovery part when we talk about self-belief, is self-love. Because it comes down to your self-belief, your self-worth, and how much you actually love yourself and value yourself. I mean, this is a very deep subject that starts from the superficial, what stories are you telling yourself, down to why you're telling them and how much do you value yourself. It's frightening. And we've both done a bit of a...
So let's give yourself a hug.
Big fat hug. Mwah, 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 mwah.
Give yourself a hug.
Mirror in front of your hand. Look at the mirror in front of yourself and say, I love you. It's not easy, but, you know, really mean it. You've got to feel it when you say it, not just superficial, I love you. Really mean it. It is important, Harry. How important it is in your life and for you as a person to carry on and achieve.
I love me for who I am. Yeah, with all the faults, with all the
and all. Yeah. We're here not because we're perfect. That's why we're all on this earth.
Yeah.
Forgive ourselves. We were only just talking about forgiveness about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, forgiveness is really important. So it's important to have those conversations, particularly with the people out of childhood. So if there's something you resent in your parents and the way you were brought up, have those conversations while you've got the opportunity, because they won't last forever.
It's true. Very true, Harry. And you don't want to be carrying that on with you subconsciously. It's affecting you. And from childhood, it can have monumental effects down the track. You know, as you get older and you're still carrying this stuff that's pissing you off, like, address it and forgive it and let it go and then move on.
There's an enormous body of information around forgiveness. And the opposite is unforgiveness. You're more likely to die of a chronic disease, have pain and suffering and anxiety and depression if you have not forgiven what you can forgive. It's really important.
You're spot on. It manifests into illness when you're into...
One of the really good things about the structures of a faith, which declining people have in this society, is that one of the components of the fasts that the faiths do, so Lent or Ramadan, there is a tradition at the end of that you would forgive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's now lost when people give up the faith, and that's a pity.
Mm.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's something that's really important. So without a faith, we can still practice forgiveness and gratitude, that ties them together. Absolutely.
So I haven't got anything to forgive you for. There's nothing to forgive.
Not this week. As we said, nobody's perfect.
That's right. That's right. So I try and practice forgiveness and try not to hold on to it, because it hurts yourself. It eats away. So, you're going to get arthritis or rheumatism quicker.
Absolutely. And that links back into sabotaging yourself as well. You're sabotaging yourself with these beliefs that you're hanging on to or not airing and not dealing with. And self-sabotage is just an awful thing. And what was I reading? Internal stress, when you've got this self-sabotaging, you're fighting yourself within yourself, and it's always focusing on the negative and the failure and the coming from a place of lack, rather than turning the head talk into positive and picking yourself up and finding the good things and flourishing with those. And everywhere I was reading over the weekend, to avoid sabotage, you have to get down to the basics and love yourself. Absolutely. Get that self-worth back up. Find all the good things about yourself. I know with my clients, they walk in the door and they are the first to criticize everything that they don't like about themselves, their body. It might be their thighs, it might be the extra bit of weight, whatever, rather than saying, oh my goodness, look at the good things that you've got going on. Let's work on those, and also let's tweak the other bits, but let's focus on the positives, not the negatives, because so many people walk around seeing with the blinkers on, looking at the wrong bits. It's unhealthy.
And when I assess the little clients, one of the things I have in the letter that's sent out to the parents is I'd like you just to be an observer, because so often they're counselling their kids, stay on the chair, don't fall off, stop doing that, stop doing this, stop doing that, stop doing the other thing. And if you just get a little bit of self-awareness around this, it's amazing how many negative messages are sent and received between a parent and a child every day. It may be dozens and dozens, and you're just not aware of it. It's under the radar. These are scripts that you don't even know exist.
Look, that's spot on. Do you remember I was at a retreat back in March, and they gave us instructions, don't sit down. And then they said, don't put your hands behind your back. Don't put your hands up in the air. And then they said, sit down. And then they said, put your hands in the air. And then put your hands behind your back. The don't signals were so confusing, as opposed to the straight doing signals was really easy. But don't sit down. You think, hang on, am I sitting down or not sitting down? And you at the time said to me, think how kids are processing this. They get so confused. So don't swing back on the chair and don't, I don't know, all the things that you were just saying, these disturbing, confusing messages that you're getting. And it's really true. So turning things into positive,
Yeah. And so the unconditional love with kids is massively important. And make sure that you have more positive than the negatives. So it all gets back to self-love. And as you said, it's important to dig deep and find out where these scripts come from, because they all come from somewhere. And
absolutely,
often childhood. Yeah.
I've got a few tips here how to avoid the sabotage by loving yourself more. And one of them is, we talked about before, self-talk. Positive talk towards yourself. Look in the mirror. Stop saying negative things about yourself, because it stimulates depression and anxiety. So start saying positive things like, Harry, your skin looks so young. You look amazing. You look very young and vibrant and mobile. And look, you've got a smile out of you, and smile makes you look younger and feel younger, as we've already discussed in previous sessions. Number 2, do the things you fear first to overcome the thought that you will fail. So when you've got a list of things, and the ones that are scaring you the most, get them out of the way first. And then it boosts up your self-esteem for starters, and go, yeah, well, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was. Don't put it off till the end. Do it first. I thought that was a really good point. Now I've got another one. Hang around positive people. It's the law of attraction.
Yes.
Positive
Yeah.
people raise you up, negative people drag you down.
Yeah.
And it's a good reminder, and it's something I should have stuck on my window every day. Only hang around positive people. Like, you know, I don't need to be dragged down anymore. And the final thing I had was follow the passions and things that have a purpose. So in your life, do the things that you're passionate about and have a meaningful purpose to you. And that helps, you know, help you love yourself, be more at peace with yourself, and sort of in control of your choices with what you want to do.
What
So,
was your first tip again?
self-talk, you know, be positive with your talk around
Yeah.
yourself. Stop the negative talk because it stimulates depression and anxiety. Look in the mirror and
Awesome.
literally feel into it and talk about positive things and say you're doing a great job. Give yourself a pat
Yeah.
on the back, like we
Yeah.
started off today.
And you are doing such a good job this week. My goodness.
Oh, I'm kicking
Good.
goals, and so are you. Super proud. But the energy has shifted. We're just on an upwards tilt now. It's awesome running to
So
catch.
my tips are acknowledge your inner critic and scripts. So it's about, building the awareness,
Yep.
and then ask where they come from. So you're going to have to look into your childhood.
Yep.
And if you do that, you'll get clarity. And then if you adopt your dreams with courage, much along the lines of what you've said, Sal,
Yep.
then you'll get the courage to do that, and you commit to it, and you'll build confidence. So doing a bit of research into this, I came across a wonderful video by Jim Carrey, the comedian, and it was a speech to an organization called the Mom, and it was titled "Choose Love and Do Beautiful Things." It's really worth watching on YouTube.
Or YouTube. Yep. Choose
The
love
other
and
thing,
beautiful things. Yeah.
choose love and do beautiful things. The other thing is this wonderful quote from Henry Thoreau,
Oh,
who
yep.
is an early American author. And he said, the mass of men live lives of quiet desperation.
Say that again.
The mass of men
Yep.
live lives of quiet desperation. And
Wow.
then often it added on, but he didn't say it, and die with their song still inside them.
That's
So
heartbreaking.
don't be one of those people.
No, not at all.
Don't live a life of quiet desperation. Embrace your dreams with courage and follow your passion.
Yeah, I love that. So I love that. Now I had a little bit of just more about the limiting beliefs, and I've just got some sort of 3 steps with it. Getting rid of these, reassess your beliefs. You know, look back, and I even suggested write down to 30 or more, drilling down to deeper and deeper levels, beliefs that you have, and sort of start questioning them. Where have they come from? Are they really valid? And you know, a lot of them are childhood, and a lot of them have never been questioned. And then you know, write down your current beliefs about yourself, what you believe, and reset your internal GPS so that determination and your mind believe that you can do anything that you desire. So, you know, get rid of the limitations that you put on yourself, because you can achieve anything. And then the third thing was just practice. Reinforce these beliefs in your head so that they just become ingrained in your subconscious, especially about yourself. I am lovable. I'm worthy of love. I can do it. I can achieve anything I want to do. Just turning that headspace around is really important. So my 3 sort of levels were: 1, reassess your beliefs, retune the truth, and retrain your brain. And through all of that, you'll discover what's real and what's not out of your beliefs. You'll transform what you really believe yourself, and then you can create new beliefs and achieve anything that you want to. I think that's super important.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's a wonderful message to give children in our care.
Yeah, good point.
To really teach them that yes, they can do anything they want.
Anything.
Because if they believe it in here, right in here, Sally, if they believe it in here, then they can become it, and they can do it.
Yep. They have to love themselves. They have to believe that they are worthy, have that self-worth, self-belief, and self-love.
Yeah.
Super important.
Right.
And how many adults have got disengaged and disconnected from the true love of themselves?
That's true. And I mean, it's a generalization. People that carry too much weight, you know, that's often an issue around self-love.
Totally. Addictions, whole works. whole nother,
that's right.
a whole nother episode.
Oh my goodness, yeah, let's not go into addiction. We won't talk about smartphones. Oh no, not
I
addicted to that
know.
little
No,
baby.
look at all your messages. Quick. Oh my goodness, isn't it doing your head in? You haven't
They're,
seen.
they're not my messages. They're my LinkedIn, new LinkedIn connections, because I have a fun challenge this quarter to get 10,000 connections, 10,000 relevant connections. So
Relevant.
we're on the way.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So I call this little segment, "Is that for real? Do you really believe the stories you tell yourself?" And I thought
Is that for real?
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're gonna write that down. Yeah. So my tagline is "Follow your dreams with love."
Yes. I love that, Harry. Follow your dreams with love.
After what we talked about the other day, around love. That's the thing that drives me on in my work. If I don't have something to love in the work or a client to love, then there's no point.
And that's part of the passion and the purpose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, that's good. This was pretty easy, Sal. I was kind of
I
thinking
know.
it'd be harder than it was.
Anxious. Oh yeah. Well, to be honest, just thinking about it, I had to re-drill back through some of the beliefs, and as I said, they were personal ones, and then childhood ones, and it always came back down to self-love, and everything else didn't matter. So,
Yeah.
a message to everyone this week is
And
love yourself.
one more bit of research that I forgot to mention, a woman called Dr. Kristen Neff, and she talked about the positive power of self-compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So be gentle on yourself. Yes, we all fail. Yes, we're going to fail tomorrow, even with the best of motivation, but be compassionate about that, because this then builds resilience.
Absolutely.
You don't beat yourself up, Yes, you're addicted to whatever it is, and yes, you failed again. That's okay.
That's okay. We're all human.
Yeah.
80-20 rule, 80% good,
Yeah.
20% naughty. But that's our challenge in life, is to understand that we are human. We can't be perfect. None of us will ever be perfect. Don't beat yourself up. Pat yourself off the ground and get up and do it again. Try again.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you can do it.
Well, I think that's pretty much it, Sal.
Yeah,
that's been awesome. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I look forward to chatting with you again next week. It's always the highlight of my week, Harry Armytage.
Me too. Me too. I look forward to it big time.
All right, darling.
And
we'll see you next week.
what are we going to talk about next week? Any ideas?
Oh, I don't know. Something juicy.
Think about that.
Yes, we'll come up with a good, juicy surprise.
And you'll be a brunette.
Oh, yes, you'll have a whole new person here. Bring it on. After 10 years, time for change.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, darling. I'll see you next week.
Bye for now. Bye.